Hello, I'm Val. We're going to work into some yoga today that will see us definitely using a belt. So have a belt, a tie, something to hand that hasn't got too much stretch, and we're going to be using this to keep the hands shoulder distance apart, and we'll also potentially be using it to bind the legs when we come into bridge posture. The other thing you may or may not need is a folded towel or blanket. When we work into our bridge posture, we want the shoulders to be down onto the mat. The back of the head will be down as well. What we don't want is the spine, back of the neck settling into the mat. So if you know that the shape of your spine means when you lay down flat on your back, your shoulders aren't touching back, but instead the spine is, then we take our blanket, position it under our shoulders, and that allows us to have a bit of length. So you'll need to adjust as you need to. We're all individuals, so that supports the shoulders down and leaves the neck to be free. So take a moment to gather your props. We're going to start down on the mat by becoming here and now, and we'll have a little experiment into our bridge posture. So bringing yourself onto your mat, think of settling through your lower back and your hips. We want to sense the hips are level, they're in balance. Try and get the pelvis nice and level, so you've got that natural curve in your lower back. Lengthening through the spine, bringing the head to a nice central position. And do relax and release those shoulders. So this is the point where you'll be able to identify if you need some support under those shoulders. Shoulders relax, down away from the ears as well as into the mat. The chest should open. If you're happy to, eyes closed, breathing in and out through the nose. Let's think about centering, about bringing ourselves to the here and now. Are the muscles of the face relaxed? Have you released through your jaw? Is the neck long? You're able to breathe freely through the throat. Shoulders letting go, arms releasing to your sides, keeping any props out of the way. Space in the elbows and wrists. Relax through arms, hands, fingers and thumbs. Be aware as you breathe in of that rise through the front of the body. And as you breathe out, releasing down. We're working with the natural flow of the breath, but we're looking to deepen that in-breath and be really steady and thorough as we breathe out fully, maybe even pulling those tummy muscles down a little to breathe out fully. Think about your legs, release through your legs. You can keep the knees bent, feet flat if you wish, but if your lower back allows you, extend those legs. Encourage the feet to roll outwards to begin to open the hip. Don't be forcing into a position or holding a position that's creating any tension. This is Shavasana. You should be fully relaxing and releasing. Letting go through those legs, space in knees, ankles. Relax through legs, feet and toes. And every time we breathe out, the back of the body sinking deeper down into the mat. In breath out, opening, creating space through your body. And out breath to release and let go. Few nice deep breaths. Really focus on your breath and bring your attention into your body. Notice how you're feeling today. Let's have a little wriggle into those toes, feet and ankles. Think about how you want to work to just awaken the circulation to your feet. Encouraging all those muscles to move from your toes up towards your knees, maybe even into the thighs. Relax and release those feet as you're ready. You might want to have a little drawing of those tummy muscles and a clench of the bottom, working on to the digestion. And then releasing and letting go. Repeating whenever you're ready, drawing tummy muscles down, preferably on the out breath, squeezing the bottom. And relaxing and releasing. And then we'll bring our attention on into the hands. So wriggle through fingers and thumbs, hands and wrists. Opening the hands, curling the fingers in. Again, we're looking to increase circulation and awaken all the muscles from fingertips up through into elbows. We'll allow those arms to relax and we'll have a gentle roll through the head. So shoulders are soft. Gently roll the head from one side to the other. Easing out. Weight of the head stays down into the mat, rolling across the back of the head. When you're ready, the head comes to center and we take a long lengthening stretch through. If you've got any tightness and you'd rather stretch one side and then stretch through the other, please adjust as you need. The idea is we're creating lots of space, bringing ourselves to our full height. And then we're going to close down from that stretch. Bring the arms back. Carefully bring those knees onto the tummy for a little hug in. I know some of you like to rock across the lower back. And then we can bring those feet down to the mat, knees bent. So we're going to gently work into those legs, bringing the right knee onto the tummy. It gets a hug down either over or under shin, drawing the thigh into the body. Feel that you're getting a stretch in that lower back and into your hip. Then we'll release and bring that foot down to the mat. We'll bring the other leg up. Again, hugging either over or under that knee on this left side. And when we feel balanced, we release and bring the foot down. We're going to see if we can alternate working with the breath. Breathe in, bring the right knee up. As you breathe out, give it a little hug down. And as you're ready to breathe in, release, out breath, relaxing. In breath, the left knee coming up. Out breath to hug. In breath to release. Out breath, relaxing. Once more each side, breathing in, knee comes up. As you breathe out, you hug down. As you breathe in, you release and return the foot to the floor. Rest with the out breath. In breath, knee comes up. Out breath, we hug down. In breath, we release. Out breath to relax. Going to work into the arms one at a time. Take one arm overhead. See if you can relax that shoulder down onto the mat. I always tend to start with my right side. And when you're ready, that arm can come back. Changing to the other arm, take the arm up and over. Encourage the shoulder to release down onto the mat. Feel the contact if you can between the shoulder. Doesn't matter about the hand. If you need to bend the elbows slightly, you're working from where you are today. Bring the hand back when you're ready. So let's alternate with the breath. Breathe in, right arm goes up and over. As you breathe out, that arm comes back. Changing to the other side, breathing in, arm goes up and over. Breathing out, the arm comes back. Once more to each side, in breath, arm goes up and over. Work with your own breathing pattern, bringing the arm back with the out breath. In, taking the arm up and over. Out breath, bring that arm back. Let's bring both knees up onto the tummy. Have a little hold onto or underneath. And roll that head up in towards the knees. And gently release your shoulders down. Feet coming down to the mat, knees bent. So this is going to be our first bridge. If you need that support under your shoulders, bring that support under the shoulders. If you're working with a hip or a knee injury, bring the ankles and knees in together. If you've not got any sort of injury or don't need the additional support through the legs, ankles and knees are hip width apart, and you bring the heels in as close to the bottom as you can. Hip width on those legs is centre of hip, centre of knee, centre of ankle. Have your feet nice and firmly down into the mat. So if you've come up on tiptoe because you brought your heels in so close, take the heels a little further apart so we can get the foot really flat down into the mat. We'll start with a little pelvic tilt. You can keep your arms by your sides. I'm going to move mine slightly in the hope if you watch the video you'll see what happens. So we're going to start with a little pelvic tilt. Legs are nice and firm. Tilt the pelvis. Back of the waist drops down into the mat so we lose any gap under the back of the waist. And then we allow the pelvis to roll down. Okay, so pelvic tilt, pushing the back of the waist into the mat, tilting up through the front of the pelvis. And release. One last one, tilting through the pelvis. You might want to draw your tummy muscles down as well. So you encourage the back of the waist to settle down into the mat. And then allow the pelvis to untilt. Thinking upper body, shoulders relaxed and release down onto the mat. No pressure in the neck. So we're going to peel the spine up off the mat. Keep the weight into the feet, weight into the shoulders. Tilt through the pelvis, and this time keep lifting those hips up towards the ceiling. Peeling the spine up off the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae. Try and keep those legs steady, thigh muscles are working. Lift the hips as much as you can and lift your heart. If you lift your chest, you should feel the weight go more into your shoulders. Might be a little bit of pressure onto the throat. And we gently roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. Feel your placing your spine down gently onto your mat, trying to keep your hips moving away from your shoulders. Until finally you touch down with the back of the waist and untilt the pelvis. So that was our first little experiment into bridge posture. Let's bring those knees in, have a little hug, maybe a little curl in. And from here we're going to come to sitting. So you might want a spinal rock. You might want to roll onto one side. We're going to work with our belt. Find a position that works for you. I'll sit my legs extended for a change. So the belt, we want the hands to be shoulder width apart. Either taking hold of short end, going to a long end for hands to be shoulder width apart, and then keeping hold of that long end as you take the belt behind the back and grab the short end. Or if you want to, you can tie a little knot in your belt so that you know where that marker is. Okay, I'm going to do that and leave a tail. So if I put my hands out in front, I know little finger onto the knot, little finger onto the end of the belt. That's my shoulder width apart. So let's have a look at why we're doing this. Take your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers. Sit nice and upright. So spine's tall, shoulders are relaxed and chin's level. Start to lift those arms behind the body. So the arms are lifting and you're drawing the shoulder blades together, hands stretching away from you. Okay, so have a sense of what's happening here. Try and sit tall, keep your gaze level, arms lifted. And then lower those hands down. Let's take hold of our belt. Either measuring out in front, holding long end and taking it behind, or using that knot. So we're going to get the same position. Spine nice and upright, chest is open, chin's level. Start to lift those arms. We should feel a difference. It should be nice and open through the front of the chest. If you're very flexible, you might not like this working. You might prefer working with the fingers interlinked, but it's good for us to experience change. So you're breathing, you're trying to lift those arms, there's a little tension on the belt, and then we can relax and release. We will bring ourselves to standing, bringing that belt with us. The reason for getting you to do that down on the floor is it tends to not have so much of this going on through the spine, which is where we're going to go next. So if you want to check those hands are hip width apart, you can have a look at them in front of you. We're going to take the belt behind the back. I'm going to work side on for this one for you. Feet are directly under the hips, feet nice and firmly placed onto the mat. Standing upright, think about any tilt and tone through the pelvis, through the tummy, through the lower back. Chin's level. Begin to lift those arms behind you, drawing shoulder blades together, keeping a little tension on the belt, opening the chest. And then we release down. Let's do 3 of those, working with the breath. Breathe in, lifting arms. Out breath, releasing arms. Don't expect to travel a long way. Keep the body upright. Breathing in as you lift those arms. Lowering the arms with the out breath. Try and keep your spine upright. Last one. In breath, lifting. Out breath, releasing. We're going to take that into a forward bend. Let's have a little try first of all in our ragdoll. So feet are hip width apart, the knees get bent. Keep the hands into the back of the body as you begin to come forwards. If you're not comfortable, please don't feel you have to go into this position. So we're coming forwards into our forward bend, lengthening the spine. And then we're going to lift those arms. As you lift those arms, try and draw shoulder blades together so you're opening the chest. Keep the body in the forward bend. You should feel those arms are maybe coming over maybe to a tipping point. Try and keep your arms energized. They're stretching away from you as well as trying to move overhead. And when you're ready to come up, nice and gently coming up, hands come into the back. Gently uncurl. If you need to remove your hands from the belt, you can do, but we are going to use that belt for a second forward bend. Think about what works for you. If you want to stay with the ragdoll, stay with the ragdoll. To make it a little more difficult, we try and work with a flat back. Don't allow those knees to lock out. We're going to take the hands a little away from the body. Draw those shoulders back. Keep the chin lifted. Start to tilt from your hips. Flat back for as long as you can, coming forwards. You might find you start to roll. Don't worry about that. And then see if we can lift those arms a bit further overhead. So we're looking now to really come into a much deeper forward bend. Don't lock the knees. Feet are still hip width apart. Shoulder blades are drawing together, arms are stretching. When you're ready to come out, take care, your head's being lower than your heart. Bring hands down, maybe sort of 10 centimetres or so from the back of the body. Begin to lift through the chin first and then come up with a relatively flat back. Allow the hands to drop into the back of the waist. So that's the progression if you want to. We can progress into a tighter forward bend, working stronger through the arms if you wish. So the feet can come in together. Those legs are nice and upright. Don't be locking your knees out if you hyperextend through your knees. To work stronger, the arms are lifted throughout, as far away from the body as you can. Remember, it's your choice whether you're going here. We come forwards with the flatter back as we can manage, keeping those arms away from us. And we fold into our forward bend. Be sensible. Know whether this is right for you. Hold it whilst you're enjoying it. Try to lengthen the spine down towards the mat. Try to take those arms over as far as you can, keeping those shoulder blades drawing together, chest open. When you're ready to come out, if you're really confident with your lower back, lift with a flat back, keeping those arms away. Otherwise, hands come into back of waist and you can steadily uncurl. This time when you're up, release your belt. Take your feet a little wider than your hips. Take those arms behind you, lift the chest and the gaze to the ceiling. And then we'll roll the head and shoulders forwards. If you're really feeling it in your shoulders, do take a moment to listen to your body and roll those shoulders forwards. We are going to go into a twist next with those arms extended. I will say, be careful of the tail of this belt. You don't want it whipping you in the face. So bring your feet, I'm going to just work off my mat so you can get the sense of height here. So bring your feet hip width apart, they're directly under your hips. Extend your arms to the ceiling with your hands on your belt, that's shoulder distance apart. Keep lengthening through the sides of the body towards the ceiling. Keep weight in your feet, have a little softness in your knees. And we're going to twist. It doesn't matter if you go left or right. You can twist through the ankles, knees, hips, waist, chest, shoulders. As long as you keep those shoulder blades drawing together, arms extended, so the chest is open and you're really aware of stretching into the sides of the body. Breathing, height through the spine, there's no bend, we're in a twist. When you're ready, you steadily uncurl to bring yourself forwards. We check we're lengthening and we can twist to the other side. A little softness in those knees, weight falling into the feet, keeping that spine long. Try and keep those shoulder blades opening. Really feel the sides of the body stretching. You're in your twist. And we're going to try and be balanced with the other side. Steadily bringing ourselves forwards. I'm aware you can't quite see the tops of my hands, but I promise you my hands are staying shoulder width apart. Have you got the stamina to do one more? Lengthening, twisting, weight in feet, height through the spine, a little bit of softness in the knees. Make sure it's a twist, not a side bend. Lengthen. Engage the sides of your body. Keep your shoulders open so your chest is open. Sorry, shoulder blades joined together so the chest is open. We bring ourselves forward. Check we got height, check we got a bit of give in those knees, and we twist to the other side. Lengthening through the sides of the body. Enjoy the twist. We're breathing naturally, keeping weight into the feet for stability. Keeping those shoulders drawing together so the chest is open. Bring ourselves forwards when we feel balanced. Have a little release of those arms, a little wriggle through those shoulders. And next we're going to take ourselves into a side bend. Again, be careful of that tail. We're going to be working arms extended. So I'm going to bring that tail into my hands so it doesn't run around loose. Feet are wider than the hips, not as wide as triangle posture, but a really good pace, because as we go over to the side, we want to be able to balance out the moving upper body. So outside edges of feet parallel, a distance that works for you. Extend those arms to the ceiling once more. Draw those shoulder blades together, chest is open. Breathe in, stretch up. As you breathe out, go over to one side. When we're in a side bend, it's the upper side of the body that feels the stretch. Breathing naturally. When you're ready to come up, we breathe in to come up. And we'll breathe out to go to the other side. So it's important this time we keep it into a side stretch. We don't want any twist. Breathing naturally. Feeling that lengthening through the side of the body. Breathe in to come up. We're going to repeat to each side. Keep that length through the arms. Come over into the side bend. If you want to stretch a little more, think about reaching those arms away. Still opening and drawing those shoulder blades together. Breathing. When you're ready to come up, in breath to come up. Check we've got the height. And then come over to the other side. Lengthen. Side bending. Stretching wherever you're happy to. Drawing shoulder blades together to keep the chest open. In breath to come up. Release those arms down. Give those shoulders a wriggle. Bring your feet in together whenever you're ready. So when you work with your arms overhead, it is more demanding for your body. So you might be aware your heart rate's increased a little. Maybe your breathing's increased a little. But you should have had a really good stretch and open through the shoulders, open through the chest. We are going to bring ourselves down onto our mat, and we're going to do one more arm movement with that belt before we come down into our bridge posture. So bring yourself down onto your mat. Whatever sitting position works for you, it's going to be the arms we're working into. Make sure there's that free end of the belt this time is very much into your hand. Hands shoulder width apart. Arms are extended to the ceiling. Take those arms behind your head as much as you can and release the arms forwards. So a very small movement. As you breathe in, take those arms back overhead, shoulder blades squeezing together. As you breathe out, release the stretch a little. In breath, taking those arms back, try and get those arms behind the ears. Out breath to relax. One more, breathing in, taking those arms behind the ears if you can. Releasing as you breathe out. Allow the arms to come down this time. A little wriggle through your shoulders if they felt it. We'll take a moment just to look at binding the legs if that's where you want to go with your bridge posture. So I'm just going to have to untie this little knot here. Some of you that work with me will be familiar that I sometimes give you a block to hold between your knees to keep your knees and ankles hip width apart and to help you to work lifting the hips in a balanced manner. Now we can use our belt to keep those knees hip width apart. So if you sit with centre line of hip to centre line of knee, you can then tie your belt to hold those knees that distance apart. So I'm just going to do this and I'm going to double my belt over because that's how it works better for me. And bring it to there and put a little knot in it. Okay, so I will find when I move my knees apart with that belt, they're staying in that nice aligned position. And I'm going to come down into my bridge posture from there. So I'm going to take my feet towards the end of my mat. Make sure my feet are directly underneath my knees. I'm going to bring my shins as upright as I can manage from here and bring my bottom in. Then I'm going to lower the spine down onto the mat. So the knees are moving slightly away from each other to keep a little tension on that belt. Shoulders are relaxing and releasing down into the mat. I found that sense where my shoulders feel in alignment with my hips. My arms are down to the mat, and this will become more relevant as we lift. So palms flat. When we lift, we're going to try and lift that chest, drawing those shoulder blades under the body. When you're ready, you've got length in the neck, shoulders releasing, feet firmly down to the mat, little tension on the belt to keep those knees apart. Tilt through your pelvis, start to peel your spine up off the mat, lift your hips as high as you can, lift through the center of the chest, and see if you can tuck those shoulders underneath your body. So that's why these hands are down to the mat, to encourage you to then draw those shoulder blades together. You might be able to hear there's a little tension on my throat here. So this allows me to breathe, to hold my position, and I'm working on the finer points. Because the legs are restricted by that belt, I know that I'm moving pretty much stably through, and I don't have to focus my attention on keeping those knees up to the ceiling, hips staying balanced. I can bring my focus into my shoulders. And I'm going to gently roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly placing the spine back down onto the mat until finally the pelvis untilts. So give us a try. If it works for you, wonderful. If you don't want to work with that belt, if you need to adjust the belt, then please adjust. You might find that you need to readjust your feet before we go up for number 2. I mean, maybe you can draw them in a little tighter. Maybe they need to go away a little. If you're working with the belt, keep a little bit of tension, those knees moving out away from each other. Arms nice and firmly down. Draw your shoulder blades in. And when you're ready, tilt through your pelvis and start to lift your hips up to the ceiling, peeling your spine up off your mat. Try and draw your shoulder blades under once you're high. Try and lift through the rib cage, through the chest. Breathing. We're effectively upside down, depending on the shape of our bridge. Heart higher than head. So that makes it an inversion if your heart's high or your head's lower than your heart. And when you're ready, gently rolling down. If that's enough bridge postures for you, then don't feel you have to repeat. But for those of you that would like to do a third one, making this your best one, bringing your arms in, tucking those shoulders, feet nice and firm. When you're ready, tilt through the pelvis, lift the hips up to the ceiling, peeling the spine up from the mat. Feel the work going into those thighs. Nice strong thigh muscles as you keep those hips lifted. Open through the chest. We've done lots of work with the belt and the arms to open that chest. Breathing. So you're making this your best bridge posture. You'll know when you're ready to lower, or if you want to stay there for a moment longer. Do take care when you're ready to lower to come down vertebrae by vertebrae, trying to control the lower, keeping stability through those legs. When you're down from your final bridge posture, when your spine is fully unraveled down onto the mat, you might want to bring those knees in. Have a little hug, maybe a curl into those knees. Might even be that you want to have a little rock through those hips. I'm just going to remove the belt from my legs. So decide where you want to be. If you want to take a few moments to relax, take a few moments to relax. Back bends are energizers, so you might now be set, ready to go off on your day. But see if you can take just a moment to appreciate all that work you've done into opening the chest, working into the shoulders, and working into that wonderful back bend that's opened the front of your body. I'm just going to stay here for a moment. Semi-supine, knees bent, arms releasing to the sides, palms up to keep that chest open. And when you've taken your few moments of silence to appreciate the work that's gone into your body, you can begin to deepen the breath. Begin to wriggle into fingers and toes. Think about any other movement you might want to make. Maybe you want to stretch through. You can bring yourself to sitting in whatever way suits you. So I would like to finish with us all sitting with a nice big in-breath. So whenever you're ready, breathing in, reach to the ceiling. Release as you breathe out. I hope you've enjoyed the session today. Namaste.